CNN Breaking News.
Live from CNN's World Headquarters in Atlanta, welcome to our viewers in the United States and around the world. I'm Lynda Kinkade.
And I'm Michael Holmes. Thanks for your company. We are covering some breaking news on US President Donald Trump's travel ban.
Now, here's what we know right now. The White House is firing back after a US federal judge put a temporary freeze on the president's immigration order. Now, that order had banned people from 7 Muslim-majority countries from traveling to the US, and it did lead to those worldwide protests. Now, in a statement issued just a short time ago, the White House said the US Justice Department will file an emergency request as soon as possible to stay the ruling.
Now, after the court order came out, that was late on Friday, US time, US Customs and Border Protection told US Airlines that the government is in the process of reinstating visas. The Attorney General for Washignton State spoke earlier with CNN's Anderson Cooper. He said he is willing to take the case all the way to the US Supreme Court if necessary.
I want to be very clear. I'm going to be pugnacious in defending the Constitution of the United States. President Trump violated that. That's not okay, and we're going to make sure he upholds the rule of law in this country.
So what does that actually mean? Where are you prepared to go with this? What is your argument?
We'll go wherever we need to go. The reason I feel so strongly is the executive order of such magnitude that the president signed just is a violation of our Constitution and different statutes, and it impacts so many Washingtonians in such deeply personal ways.
Well, the White House reacting to Friday night's court order with a statement that initially called it outrageous, but it then later released another statement with that word removed. It said this, quote, "At the earliest possible time, the Department of Justice intends to file an emergency stay of this order and defend the executive order of the president, which we believe is lawful and appropriate."
As it now stands, the US Airlines have been instructed by the federal government to return to business as usual, meaning as it existed before Mr. Trump's executive order.
US Customs and Border Protection gave that word a few hours ago to all major passenger carriers in the US. It said the US government would begin reinstating travel visas immediately and that airlines should remove travel alerts from their websites.
An airline executive tells CNN the agency's directive also allows refugees with valid US visas to travel to the United States. CNN legal analyst and former New York City prosecutor Paul Callan joins us now. Paul, great to have you with us.
Nice to be with you, Lynda.
Just explain for us, how significant is this ruling and what exactly does it mean?
It's a very significant and unusual ruling. There are 1,200 sitting federal judges in the United States, and this is a ruling by one judge who's essentially overruling the President of the United States and has issued an order to bind every court in the United States. So usually you don't see that. Usually they just sort of stay to their own federal district when they issue a ruling. So this is a very unusual ruling.
Well, that's right. We have seen a number of courts issue a ruling on this executive order. How is this one different? This is nationwide.
Yeah, this one is different. The other judges simply issued orders that pertain to their district. So, for instance, in New York has one order, Boston has a different order. But this Seattle judge said, you know something? The rules about getting into the United States affect the entire United States. So, and I find it's unconstitutional what the Trump administration has done, and for the sake of uniformity of approach, I'm going to apply this to the entire United States. And technically, he has the right to do so because he's a federal judge. He's not a local judge, but it's unusual. Usually, federal judges don't do that.
And it was only a matter of time before the Trump administration responded, the White House calling the order outrageous, vowing to defend it. Can they succeed?
That's a great question. The Boston appellate court that looked at the order up there ruled in favor of the Trump administration. So on balance, the Trump administration has some good arguments that they can bring to a higher court to say that this lower court judge made a mistake. But the appellate court out on the West Coast, the Ninth Circuit Court, is a liberal court, and it's a court that might rule against the Trump administration. And if that happened, it'll all wind up in the United States Supreme Court.
So what does it mean for people caught up in this? People from those 7 banned countries who have valid visas, can they now travel here?
Well, I think this is a ray of hope for them. This judge said this is clearly unconstitutional and that the government can't defend it adequately, that the case is so strong against it. However, they would make a big mistake if they tried to board an airplane tomorrow just because this order has been issued. A higher court could overrule this tomorrow or the next day, and they could be caught trapped in an airport again. So I would wait till next week to see how this thing plays out.
And no doubt this may also be a ray of hope for refugees affected by this ruling.
No question about it, because as a matter of fact, the judge in the ruling specifically dealt with the refugees and said that the provision restricting them was unconstitutional as well. So it is a ray of hope for refugees around the world.
And in terms of the politics, how does this play out for Trump? For Trump supporters, this was a promise he made during the campaign. It looks like policy on the run. It seems to be his first major policy fiasco.
I think that you'll see Trump play this up as a fight between judges trying to make law and the President of the United States, who was elected democratically. And he's going to say, I was elected by the majority of the Electoral College who want restrictions on immigration, and a single federal judge shouldn't be able to stop that. So I think that's how the Trump administration will handle this.
Paul Callan, great to have your expertise and perspective on all of that. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Lynda.
Well, the latest challenge to Mr. Trump's travel ban comes as the US president arrived at his Mar-a-Lago estate in Palm Beach, Florida.
And CNN's Jessica Schneider is there too with more on how US agencies are responding to the federal judge's decision.
Well, after 1 week of being caught up in the courts, President Trump's executive order banning immigration from those 7 Muslim-majority countries is halted tonight. A federal judge in Washington State put the brakes on the order, issuing a temporary restraining order that does halt this executive order. But the White House tonight saying that they are fighting back. They say that the Department of Justice plans to issue an appeal. The White House has continued to maintain throughout the past week, continues to maintain now, even in the wake of this ruling from a federal judge, that what President Trump did in issuing that executive order was completely lawful. Now, we understand that the Department of Justice will file an appeal, but it will not be immediate. We are waiting for that. It likely will not be in the overnight hours or early hours tomorrow. Of course, this entire issue has been in the courts front and center for the past week. We've seen numerous judges ruling on this, whether it was the day after President Trump issued that executive order, or numerous civil rights groups filing lawsuits in the federal courts all over the country. This is just the latest legal wrangling that has come up, and now this puts that executive order out of commission. So what the Customs and Border Protection Agency has said, they said that it is now back to business as usual. In fact, they had a conference call with the airlines, and they said that airlines should begin resuming as usual, that the government will begin reinstating those visas that they had actually taken out of commission over the past week, and that airlines should remove some of those travel ban alerts from their websites. So going forward, Customs and Border Protection says that they will be moving forward as if it's business as usual, as if this executive order from President Trump was never signed. But the White House vowing to fight back. The Department of Justice, they say, will be filing an appeal. So to be continued. Jessica Schneider, CNN, Palm Beach, Florida.